Good, happy Monday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this evening broadcast of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. It's Monday, July 19, 2021. We have a lot of news to get to this Monday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, COVID-19 vaccine booster shot, mixed messages and confusion over breakthrough cases. Let's take a listen to that video from CBS News.
This morning, cases of COVID-19 are on the rise in all 50 states for the first time since January. Unvaccinated Americans account for most of the increases nationwide, but so-called breakthrough cases among vaccinated people are increasingly common as the Delta variant spreads. There's also confusion about booster shots and whether fully vaccinated Americans should get a third shot. This comes after some conflicting reporting from Pfizer and the CDC over if and when Americans might need another dose. CBS News medical contributor Dr. David Agus joins us. David, good morning. Why these conflicting messages about booster shots?
Well, I think, there's no question that Pfizer did the right thing, which was submitting the booster for FDA approval, because it'll take time to do that, and it'll be ready when we need it. There's a population in the United States that will require a booster, but at the present time, no one requires a booster. And we can know that by looking at the hospitalization rate across the country of people who have been vaccinated, and it is remarkably low. They're not getting serious infection.
All right, what do we know at this point, David, about how long immunity lasts?
So what we know is there's some antibody studies showing that in about 6 months, antibodies start to fall. But antibodies are a tiny piece of the puzzle. The T cells are the key part in making the vaccine give you immunity, protect you from the virus. So my gut is we're going to see the elderly, people with medical conditions, toward the end of the year, beginning of next year, will need boosters. In Israel, they started to give boosters to people who were immune suppressed, on chemotherapy, HIV, autoimmune diseases, and only them. And so people with immune issues earlier, elderly next, and we'll see after that.
Dr. Agus, it's Vlad. We've been seeing more of these breakthrough cases. I know a lot of them are anecdotal, but people who've been vaccinated getting sick with COVID-19 and, in some cases, pretty sick. Not enough to go to the hospital, but still sick enough to be at home. What do you make of that, and how concerned should we be?
Hi, Vlad. There's no question these vaccines work. They're protecting most people on exposure from getting symptomatic from COVID-19. But there's a significant portion that gets mild symptoms, some of them more serious, but most, very few actually get hospitalized. So what happens, right? This Delta variant is remarkably infectious, and it makes you much sicker than the other variants we think now. And so because of that, we're really saying is that our behavior has to change. What you could have done and not gotten the virus with the last variant is not true with Delta variant. This is a new virus that is behaving remarkably different.
So let's talk about where you are, David, in Los Angeles. Los Angeles County now says you have to wear a mask whether you're vaccinated or not. And some people say that's sending a conflicting message, because for those of us who have been vaccinated, and that's all of us at this table certainly, you'd like to think that you're protected. That's why you get a vaccine, so you're protected against the people that are not. So why do we now have to wear a mask? It's causing people are very confused.
No question about it. I mean, public places, you have to wear masks in LA as of Saturday night. Part of it, I think, is that, politicians don't want to say the aggressive thing is saying, we are going to check vaccines before you walk in, like they did at the Springsteen concert on Broadway. And, by not knowing who's vaccinated or not, we see what's happening. It's going up in every state in the country because the behavior is not appropriate, right? People who are not vaccinated should be wearing a mask whenever they go out, and they're not. And so the only way around it now in LA, short of showing vaccine IDs or immunity passports, which they're not going to do, is by saying everyone has to wear one. And I know it is frustrating and confusing.
Yeah. The honor system ain't working. It's just not working.
Yeah. The other question I have,
No,
David,
it should.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. David, I have a question about, as the country starts to reopen and more people are making plans to return to the office in September, do you envision a world where that doesn't happen, where we roll those options back in September?
Well, my gut is that what's happening now is we're going to see a significant increase in Delta variant across the country. And with this new wave, I do think it will be one of the last in the short run. And so my hope is they will be over by the end of August and September, and we can go back to schools and workplaces like everyone planned for. What it really requires is us to continue vaccinating and really to follow the mandates of behavior. And, we're not doing it right now. And I don't understand it, is that you look around the world, every country is begging for vaccines. We have more vaccines, than we have people, and yet we're not using them. It really doesn't make sense.
Excellent point. Dr. Agus, thank you as always, my friend. Appreciate it.
With Realtor.com's home alerts, we found our new desert home really fast, and us cacti aren't exactly known.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report.
More vaccines, than we have people, and yet we're...
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg gives urgent infrastructure warning. Let's take a listen to that video from CBS News.
America's infrastructure is in the spotlight this week as the Senate prepares for its first vote on $1.2 trillion framework, which has bipartisan support. According to a new CBS News poll, the majority of Americans, 59%, support President Biden's infrastructure proposals. There is overwhelming support for specific funding for building and repairing roads, bridges, rural broadband, and care for children and the elderly. Only on CBS This Morning, our Errol Barnett spoke with Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg about the urgency of getting this done.
There's always been a federal role, and the federal role has been underfunded, and you can see it and feel it.
For months, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg has been increasing pressure on Congress to act on improving the nation's aging transit network. Last week, swinging through Oregon, Arizona, and Illinois, touting regional benefits of federal investment.
Not one of our airports is in the top 25 airports around the world. And altogether, it adds up to a country that has fallen out of the top 10 in infrastructure. If we allow that to continue, we cannot be the world's leading economy for much longer.
The devil's going to be in the details.
Republican Congressman Rodney Davis represents Central Illinois and voted against the $715 billion House infrastructure bill, which passed earlier this month.
It was nothing but partisan, and it would unfairly punish rural America at the expense of urban America with some of the policies that were listed in that bill.
Davis says the most urgent need in his district is for road and bridge repair. The Republican chairman of Chicago's Regional Transit Authority agrees.
I ride into downtown Chicago on a rail car that was delivered when Dwight Eisenhower was the president. Many of those stations were built and designed when Roosevelt was president, not Franklin, but Teddy.
There have been generations of underfunding infrastructure. How likely is that to be fixed within a single administration?
Well, one of the things about this moment is it represents a chance to do something that'll leave a mark, not just through the next 4 or 8 years, but really through the next 40 or 80.
Now, I also asked Secretary Buttigieg about the tax enforcement idea as a way of funding some of the Senate framework, which Republicans now say is off the table, by the way. The Secretary says that concept is about making rich tax cheats pay their fair share. He is now, of course, open to other options, but he says, Gail, with a midweek deadline, time is of the essence.
All right, Errol, you guys covered a lot of ground in that interview. May I say, you look good standing in front of a building matching your suit. Looks really nice.
Appreciate it, Gail. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Union Station.
Find a rental car that's the right price, location, size, and more. Search Kayak now.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Bezos' space flight company Blue Origin prepare for takeoff. That happens tomorrow. Let's take a listen to that video from CBS News.
Blue Origin says all systems are go to make history tomorrow in West Texas. Company founder Jeff Bezos will blast himself off to the edge of space in his new autonomous rocket. He's bringing along some friends, his brother Mark, 82-year-old Wally Funk. She's one of the first women to train for spaceflight. That was back in the 60s. And 18-year-old Oliver Damon, a Dutch student whose dad bid for his spot at the auction. Mark Strassman joins us now. He's near the launch site in Van Horn, Texas. Mark, we saw another billionaire, that's Richard Branson, go to space last week. But this one is a little different. How so?
Hey, Gail, good morning. Completely a different approach. Bezos is going to fly in a rocket, not inside a space plane like Richard Branson did. Bezos will also fly about 10 miles higher than Branson did, but his trip is going to be much shorter, only about 10 minutes. And this is also the first time that Blue Origin has ever tried to launch people.
Come on into the capsule?
This capsule simulator is the same one tomorrow's Blue Origin crew has trained in. Ariane Cornell directs sales here for wannabe astronauts.
These are the largest windows that have ever flown in space.
In the emerging space tourism market, Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket launches vertically. Its engine generates 110,000 pounds of thrust. Passengers inside experience 3 Gs of force. Almost 3 minutes into flight, the capsule separates and hurtles toward the heavens at 3 times the speed of sound. The reusable rocket booster returns to a landing pad. More than 60 miles above the planet, the passengers experience several minutes of weightlessness, microgravity, before returning to Earth. The fully automated capsule deploys braking parachutes. Small thrusters fire to slow its descent an instant before it touches down in the Texas desert. This is a space joyride, but that's not priority one.
New Shepard will not launch until I'm satisfied that it is safe to do so, and I give my go for launch.
In a 2019 interview with Nora O'Donnell, Bezos talked about the risk.
It can never be risk-free. The only thing that's really risk-free is like staying in your bedroom. So the question is that experience worth it to you? And for me, it certainly is.
And to other thrill seekers. Blue Origin's next 2 flights are filling up, but the company won't say what it costs. In fact, the company is endlessly cagey about what it costs, although we do know this much: the winner of a recent auction paid $28 million. He's not flying this time, but he will fly on a future flight. Gail, I guess we'll see you this afternoon.
Yes, I'm getting on a plane coming there. I'm excited to see. I'll stay on the ground. Thank you, Mark.
I'm Richard Branson, and I have a once-in-a-lifetime invitation for you. Would you like to travel to space?
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we are going to switch gears now, and let's go into weather. Let's take a look at your weather across the United States for this evening. As you can see, it is dry along Boston, and little sprinkles of flurry as well of rain. Sorry about that. And lots of rain along here, as you can see, down along here in this part of the United States, and lots of rain in this section of the United States as well. Otherwise, it's dry basically in the middle, and over here a little bit as well. And that is a look at your weather across the United States for this Monday evening. And that does it for this Monday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching and have a great evening. Good night and goodbye.